सब्सक्राइब करें बॉलीवुड न्यूज़ यूट्यूब चैनल पर और बेल आइकन दबाना ना भूलें to get all the latest gossips and updates on Bollywood.
With that, yes, social media has its pluses and minuses, and it's a boon and a curse. And it's a boon when you have to reach out to millions of people and connect with the world and whatever is happening in it. It's a curse when it's misused, when it's misunderstood, and when it's unnecessarily kind of added loops of negativity to it and attached to it for no reason. But it's a reality of our existence. We have to envelop it, and hopefully some of the negatives eventually get subsided by all the positivity that the world must have.
So I'm just going to wind up here. I know he's very interesting, very engaging, and very wise. But this can go on because I think we all have enough we want to ask him. But he has to go, so I don't want to actually take up more of his time than we already have. Is that okay? Okay, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
and all
everybody.
the best. Shonali, I hope that the book really rocks. You've already met with such glorious and glowing reviews. Thank you so much, Divya. Thank you for doing this. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for making the time. Give it up for Shonali Shroff, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I'll just see him off outside and come back.
And very insightful. And one of the topics, Shonali, that you've talked about quite a bit is the idea of whether women can actually have it all. And you've talked about that wonderfully in the book. Can you tell us a little bit about that in the context of this?
So, you know, I think there's this whole wave of misunderstood feminism which says that you can have it all today. Do you want some water or something to drink? Okay. You can have it all today. So you can lean in, like Sheryl Sandberg said, at work. You can have the perfect marriage. You can have the best bodies. Your derriere can look like Beyonce's and your thighs can look like Kim Kardashian and so on and so forth. But I think by accepting this, we are actually making it harder for ourselves. This is, again, we can't really have it all. Let's just face it and give, either make the most of what we can give our best to. Because when you give too many hours at work, you realize your kids are neglected. And when you give too much time at home, the way it happens with Natasha, you realize that your own identity is now subsumed in your role as a wife and a mother. And I don't know how it's working out for Karan as a parent and a career man and everything. How is it working out for you?
No, but it's not easy. I have to say, it's, there is a balance. That, like, to answer your question, that there's no such thing as having it all. Because that's a point that's very subjective. I mean, there is like, what is all to me may not be all to you. And, so it's like, there's no, and I think it's very boring to even say, I've never met a single person, if I was to hire you, and very rarely you'll find a person, I'm very happy. You don't hear that. And even if they're saying it, I think they're lying. So there's no such thing as a constant state of satisfaction or happiness, and that's okay. You're meant to go through your days, your ups and downs in your day, and it's okay. And like you brought up me parenting at this age, and it's not been easy. It was tough, but it's something that I really wanted, and I feel much more complete today as a result of it. And I think that's what really matters. And I think time management is really overrated. It's really overrated. I think 24 hours are like a lot for you to do, a lot to sleep, to exercise, to love, to work, to do everything. There's a lot of time. I think we always give too much emphasis on there's no time. There's a lot of time. What are you doing half the time? There's a lot of ways that you kind of land up doing in things.
I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If you just cut off like X amount of things, you'll have a lot of time, to give the loved ones a lot of time. Because I believe, like, people ask me, you do so many things. And I'm like, that's because there is a lot of time in a day. You've got to leverage that.
Fantastic. Aren't you on your way to the airport right after this?
Am I going to the airport? Do I look like I'm going to the airport? No. No, I'm not.
This could be your airport look.
No. Not going to the airport. I mean, though flying is much faster than driving in the city, I can assure you.
That's true. So another few issues that you've talked about in the book, Shonali, are obviously the lifestyles of the rich and famous as we know it in Bombay and Delhi and cities like that. Tell me, is high society in Bombay and Delhi, as you say, just getting Botox and spending their time on Instagram and shopping online as a result of filling some sort of void in their lives?
You're asking him or asking me?
I'm asking the both of you.
So firstly, high society in Bombay is very different from high society in Delhi. We can't even hold a candle to that sort of society, okay? I think that their morals are far more flexible, spandex in their morals, and which is fine. I'm not judging it. I'm just giving an observation, sharing an observation. And I mean, they live in farmhouses, and they wake up at 5 in the evening, go to the gym, party, then again sleep, and kids. I mean, that's what I've seen from fairly up close. I think in Bombay, the commute and the stress of living in the city sort of makes us a little more responsible and little less feudalistic in the way we live. And I mean, each to their own, really. I think if people want to do Botox and fill up their faces with fillers and go and shop online, why not? They're not hurting or harming anybody. Whatever rocks your boat, each to their own, really.
I also believe that it's important to surround yourself with the kind of people that can make you a better person. And I think that if you surround yourself with those people and you're going to be dressing for them and filling your face for them and doing all that, then, those are not true friendships. Those are frivolous friendships, and those are seasonal friendships. So I think sometimes in life it's important to go back to the people who are like your family, your close friends from the past, be it school, college, your childhood friendships that really keep you grounded, that can actually kind of love you for who you are and not what you want to be given the certain circumstance that surrounds you. Social media does have its pressures, but I think you can't live your life by those norms. I feel very bad for men and women who actually are changing themselves to please others. It's important to kind of make whatever change to make that peace within. I mean, I don't judge anyone who kind of touches their face or, does some kind of body sculpting, because if that makes you feel good for yourself, do what you need. But if you're doing it for X, Y, and Z so that they can love you and they can kind of lust for you, or they can admire you and they can think that you're looking hot, if you're doing it for them, then why are you doing it at all? Because, I've always believed that, at least I'd say for myself, that my life decisions have been for myself and for what I think is correct for me in my life. I don't think you should look at what your neighbor thinks or what your friends around you think, because then those are not friends. If you're looking at how many likes your picture has on Instagram, then you do not have a life.
This especially applies to all the young children in the room, which would be my children.
And I think that the sad thing is that it's resulting in a lot of things like teenage depression and, self-worth taking a big beating. And I think that we take these things lightly, because I'm like, a lot of them are suffering as a result of it. And this was never the case. This is not how we were brought up or how we were raised. There wasn't something like Instagram at that time, and thank the Lord. Imagine, I anyway had problems in my childhood. Imagine if I had Instagram sitting on my head, I would be totally traumatized.
Yeah, I had like unibrow. It looked like there was a big caterpillar here till I was like 18. So... yeah, we were very different, but the thing is, it's also unfair to compare them with our generation because of the pressures like Karan mentioned. And I even see that in full-grown women in their 40s, that they can't repeat a dress because their Instagram has a picture. I think that is another thing that, again, you're looking for validation from outside, really. So that is something to really introspect about.
Yeah. Karan, you of course grew up in the city and you grew up in a filmy family. Can you tell us how much
South Bombay, don't forget.
Hey, let's not diss on South Bombay. We've already done Delhi. So tell me a little bit about how much things have changed. How have you sort of witnessed Bombay society change, or do you think it's just more of the same? It's just a different platform, a different level,
Well, in a sense, I feel like the C-Link, because when I grew up, I stayed in Malabar Hill for 26 years of my life, and then I moved to Bandra for the remaining 21 to be exact. And I just feel like when I was in Bombay, that South Bombay, was a totally different world, than what it is today. It's much more crowded, and it was much more, there an old world charm about it. There were people who came from old money and had their own kind of, charm and self-worth and, flamboyance that was unique to them. I see that slipping away, being replaced by, the modernity of things. When I moved to Bandra, it was a totally different hub. It was a bunch of self-achievers with the suburbs, this part of the city, Bandra and Juhu and beyond. There was a lot of self-achievement. There was a lot of hunger to achieve. There was a lot of individuals who made it on their own steam and not from family lineage or money. So literally across the C-Link, I saw two different spectrums. I saw, like, for the lack of a better way of saying it, the so-called nepotistic gang that were actually leveraging parental wealth and status. And then there was like the single achievers who who had moved in from elsewhere, you know, from other cities, moved into Bombay and were really trying to make it on their own. And now the Bombay that I know and where I'm at is full of that, which I'm really happy about. I see kids, and I'm always surrounded by a lot of achieving millennials and Gen Z guys and girls that are really wanting to make a place for themselves. There is ambition, but on their own terms. And that's what I think I really love, because we've all been ambitious, but sometimes your ambition has absolutely no cap. You know, you will do anything for your ambition. That's not the case with this generation, because their ambition has a boundary, you know. They will do it up to a point, and then they really want to have a good time as well. And I think they balance ambition and fun. So the city actually is doing just that right now, balancing ambition, but also having lots of fun. And I think when we grew up, the pressures were much higher. For some reason, because I think our parents of that generation gave us that pressure. And now the younger parents are not so pressurizing, because they don't want to be like how their parents were to them, you know. So it's like things have changed. It's like I can see the generation shift.